Hi, it's KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and my guests today are from the Rebuild Nepal Foundation. Ernie Schiller has been with us many times to talk about the work that he's been doing in Nepal through earthquake and pandemic. But we have three young people who are accompanying him on his next trip coming up later this spring, Mason, Sydney, and Paisley. So first off, welcome everyone.
Thank you much. Thank you.
For those who haven't heard you talked previously, Ernie, let's start by just sketching out briefly how you came to get involved with education and kids programs in Nepal.
Okay. Well, I'm a retired educator from Central East Schools, and I was in Nepal the year before the earthquake, and we were trekking through the mountains. And coming down from the mountains, my guide and interpreter, we walked by a school. So one of these village schools, which I hadn't even heard of, walked in and realized they had nothing. They have no books, no nothing. So I thought, gee, I'll just come back the next year, 2015. And my oldest daughter, who's their science teacher, said, well, she'll go with me. But 3 weeks before we flew, the earthquake happened. It was a major event. And so I thought, okay, I'll never go back to Nepal. Well, about 6 months later, the trekking company, of course, they had my cell phone, my Facebook, my email. They said, Ernie, we really need some help. So I said, well, what do you mean? Well, everything you saw on your trek is gone. All the schools, all the homes, all the businesses, 9,000 people died in like 30 seconds. And I go, oh my gosh. So they wanted me to see what I could do, and I go, well, I'm just a retired teacher, so, well, why don't you do what you can? So I talked with my family, and I bilked them out of money, anybody that I could. I said, give me some money, and they gave me health supplies, and off I went about 6 months later and had no idea where I was going. Trekking company just picked me up and took me to these mountain villages, and I dug in for 2.5 months, digging out bodies that were still buried, going to the schools, teaching what I could, giving out health medicine and stuff like that. So that's how it formed. I never looked at working on a foundation, raising money for a country that's actually on the opposite side of the world. But it's been good for me, and it's been really good for them. It's been so good for them. And any of the volunteers, we have, 500-600 people donating on a regular basis. We have contacts with like tens of thousands of people around the world trying to make our organization bigger. So it's been rewarding. Even Dolly Parton, who the national singer, has actually given me an award. It's going to be called the Chasing Rainbows Award, which I will receive as soon as the pandemic passes.
As soon as you're able to do that.
She's very COVID, so yeah, that's what we're doing, and it's like we're getting some national recognition now.
And of course, the Nepal had not even begun to recover from the earthquake, then the 1-2 punch of the pandemic.
Exactly.
So, not only a health crisis, but of course you're unable to get there to take, more supplies and do anything, but you have a trip coming up.
We do. And actually, during the pandemic, we've have 60 volunteers in Nepal donating their time, finding the people, because the pandemic has thrown a bigger wrinkle on there because their entire culture is based on tourism. So 70% of the people are unemployed. And about a year and a half ago, we found out that 10,000 had committed suicide because they couldn't provide for their families. So our organization extended a hand, and now we are providing food boxes for over 6,000 people. And to give you an idea, the difference of culture, for them to feed a family of 4 for 1 month is $19.88. So our food box is enough food for an entire month for a family of 4 for basically the price of a pizza. So we are keeping kids in school. We are donating masks and bars of soap. We've shipped over tons of stuff. And now the food box program. So I can't wait to get there because I haven't been there since 2019. The pandemic halted everything, but I'll be flying here in less than 3 months. So I can't wait to get there again.
Mason, Paisley, and Sydney, You're going to be accompanying Ernie on this trip. And I guess I should, go back. I did briefly introduce you, but I'm going to go back and now I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself. Just reintroduce yourself. Tell me, how old you are and, what grade you're in school. So, Mason, you start.
My name is Mason Roach, and I am 12 years old, and I am from Fort Madison, Iowa. I really started with, the Nepal program when I was about, in kindergarten.
Really? So you first heard about it when you were in kindergarten or first grade?
Yeah, Mr. Schiller brought in, the kid was about my age, or about maybe in 7th grade, 6th or 7th. I think his name was Jacob.
Yeah, Jacob Pogotakis, yeah.
Yeah, and I was inspired by Mr. Schiller and all that stuff, and I really wanted to go with him. But at that time, when I was younger, I was just like, ooh, a cool trip. I think I should want to go when I'm older. Well, when I grew up, I noticed what it really meant and, what was actually going on. And so then I grew up thinking about how unfortunate they are and what they don't have. And so then it got me really thinking about why I want to go. And so I've been waiting for a long time, trying to be good in science and just do whatever I can. And Mr. Schiller already knew that I wanted to go for a while, so I guess because I was just at that age, he thought I was ready.
So you've pretty much been waiting half your life to make this trip.
Probably.
Paisley and Sydney, again, tell me how old you are and what grade you're in.
So I'm Paisley Grafton. I'm 16 years old and I'm a junior at Centrally High School. So I knew that Sydney was going on this trip and I was like, oh my gosh, that's a great opportunity. That's a great opportunity to help people, and I just really want to give back because, like Mason said, they don't have very much, and we're fortunate to live in a good place. And
We're worried about if our phone breaks or whatever. They're worried about if they're even going to be able to eat today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they don't have it as good as we do. We're fortunate to have good families, and I just really want to give back.
So, Sydney, sounds like you're a little bit the ringleader of this group. Sounds like a lot of this kind of started with you.
I guess you could say that.
So, and what year are you in school?
I'm a senior this year. Today's my 18th birthday, so there's
happy birthday.
that. I remember 2 years ago, actually, my birthday party, I invited Ernie, and my birthday party just consists of my mom and my dad and my grandma,
A
grandpa.
pandemic birthday party.
Yeah. And Ernie came, and actually this was a month before the pandemic, 2 years ago.
Oh.
And he came to my birthday party, and I was planning on going that year, and I wanted to inform my family about what the trip meant to me, a little bit more about it. And he came and gave this whole big presentation in my basement, and that's when I decided, I was like, yep, I'm going. And since then, I had, from February to March, before everything got shut down, I had already gotten so many donations and calls and collected so much in hopes of making my trip that May. And then it shut down and we weren't able to go. And then we were like, okay, we're gonna go the next year. And then, it continued and continued. And so here we are. We're finally gonna make the trip. We have so much to take over right now.
Yeah, tell me about the fundraising and the items that people have donated. How did you go about getting people to give stuff?
Okay. Yeah, so when I originally planned on going back in 2020, I began to reach out to businesses. The local nursing home, they get boxes of toothpaste and deodorant in, and they donated a few boxes of toothpaste and deodorant, which I have not even opened. When we get closer to the trip here, we're going to open them, unbox everything to make room for more stuff. And then I got a huge amount of money donated to me, which I have kept, and we're actually going to send it over ahead of time and that'll go towards scholarships for children. Every child in Nepal has to go to school on scholarship. So
because there's no public schools, it's all pay as you go.
Yep. That's right. So all that will go towards scholarships to send children to school there. And Paisley and I are working on a few more large fundraisers right now. We are doing music trivia here soon. And actually, what day is that?
March 4th.
March 4th. And then we are doing an adult prom, which we're hoping to get a big crowd from April 1st. So all that money, everything we raise from these two events, these are going to be our last two events before we head over, all of the revenue we get from that will go straight towards scholarships for the children in Nepal.
Wow. So you really, even though you weren't able to go, you've kept this alive by
Yes, that's
doing
right.
events and soliciting more donations.
Yep.
You got a lot of stuff
Yeah.
to carry over with you.
I got some totes in my basement that I'm ready to get rolling over there.
So what is, so let's, you're going to have a chance, obviously, you're going to have an experience unlike most American tourists
Yeah.
get, because you're not just going to be seeing sights, you're going to be actually going in and working with people. So, what do you want to, what are you going to say to, the first, one of the first Nepalese students that you meet?
Well, Ernie's always told me these people are like no other. These are going to be the kindest, most heartwarming people you will ever meet. And I don't think I will be at a loss of words just because of it's just going to be such an eye-opening experience. But I don't think I'm going to have to think about what I'm going to say. I think they're going to talk to me, and I'm just going to it's just going to be like a normal conversation because they're so kind and willing to talk, whereas like you don't have to really think about what you're going to say. It's just something that's going to flow.
You mentioned a couple of events that you have coming up. Ernie, right before you leave at the end of April, you said that there's also a British singer who's going to come across the pond and do some fundraising concerts.
Yes, actually he flies in, I think, on the 18th of April. I leave the 27th, but this guy has found out about us on the World Wide Web, and I was on
I've heard of that. The World
Yeah,
Wide
have you
Web.
heard about that?
That's a thing.
Yeah. Well, for this old guy here to be connected, and I was invited right after the pandemic. There was a group in Cornwall, or England, that was trying to connect people, and they invited me, and so I attended like maybe 15 of their sessions, presented, and this guy heard of me, and he says, well, we'll just do a Facebook global event. And so it was all planned. Well, the COVID happened, and they couldn't get into the studio, and England is much more strongly regulated than here. And after 2 years of trying to get this put together with the pandemic, and now that things have lifted, we actually have some people that have funded his flight over. Not me. It's somebody that's working on this, much like these kids here. They're working on their own individual projects. Somebody went out and found a sponsor to fly this guy over. He's wanted to do this for 3 years now, and he'll be putting on actually 2 performances, one at Centrally High School, these girls' high school, and it's going to be on a Friday of April 22nd. We'll have an art display from Nepalese art prior to the performance, and then there's another one on Sunday, April 24th, which is up in Burlington, Iowa, at the Capitol Theater. So this guy, who I've never met, I've seen him, we've Zoomed. He is so excited. He's never been to America. He's like a cover singer for Broadway and musicals and opera. He's trained in opera, and he also does like Josh Groban style. So this guy is a well-performed performer in England and across Europe, but now he's coming to America simply to support our event. Now, of course, he's going to stay around a few days because he wants to go to Branson and see some musicals. So he will actually not leave U.S. until like May 3rd, but I fly out on the 27th. So we'll have a chance to have these 2 fundraisers, and these kids will help, display the art, and it'll be a night of performance and art from Nepal.
Mason, when do you fly? Do you know off the top of your head?
At the end of the school year on May 25th.
Mm-hmm. And I think you're all, and the 3 of you are flying together
Yeah.
with Mason's dad as your escort. So, well, I just can't even begin to say how impressed I am with everything that you have done. And again, sight unseen. It's one thing to get excited about a trip, but then to have a trip that you've been working on now for the better part of 3 or 4 years and still be this passionate and excited about it. So just kudos to you and everybody who's helping you with this, and good luck as you get ready to fly to Nepal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ernie, if people want to get involved now at the we're taping this in February. Don't be surprised if it's April and you're hearing it again, because we might get a couple of plugs in for the concert as we get closer to flying time. But at the time that we're recording now, you said actually there's still some room for people if they want to come with you.
Yes, a matter of fact, we are still collecting volunteers. We had 52 that was going to go in 2020, and of course that got canceled. So quite a few of them are coming back on board. We have 3 different waves of people coming. The first group that's actually from Penn State University, they're flying in like on or around May 10th. They haven't got plane tickets yet. The second group, which is this group, Mason and Paisley, will both miss probably the last week and a half of school.
Oh,
Yeah, I
I'm sure
know.
that's really, really
that
distressing
that
you.
just sucks, man.
And of course,
Yes,
Mason
yes, yes.
Mason is a 6th grader at Holy Trinity Schools, and he's going to miss, some little fun time, end of the school year activities. But the second group's going to come around.
They can't catch me if I'm already gone.
There we go.
That's right. They can't ask for your assignment when you're in Nepal.
Bro, I'm all the way across the country. I ain't doing that crap.
So then the third group's going to come on or around June 5th, 6th, something like that. So there's room. If you're interested in going, reach out to me. Dennis here or anybody at the studio will have my connection. You can go to our website. It's very simple. It's just rebuildnepaleducation.org. You can Google Nepal Schiller with a C, S-C-H, Schiller Nepal GoFund, and you'll go right to another website. There's lots of opportunities to join us.
And of course, mainly what you need is people to provide more funds so that you have more
yes.
things more food boxes to buy,
Yes.
more supplies to
Yes.
take over there. So if you if a trip to Nepal is not in the future, I'm sure that any dollar helps.
Well, exactly, because, I'm flying on the 27th of April. They're coming in on the second wave. But while I'm there before anybody arrives, I plan to visit 7 different villages in different districts that I've never been to, because I've heard that they have been suffering and nobody has reached out to them. So I know that these places I'm going to be going to that haven't been touched are going to need assistance. So, any dollars you want to give. And by the way, we are a 501c3, and for every dollar raised, that dollar has to go to a Nepalese student. So, we don't have middleman cutting money out of it. Every dollar donated, for all of your listeners out there, every dollar that's generated has to go to a Nepalese kid. That is our mandate. So, you can just search us out. We do need more donations. There's not a question about that. I know America and all these organizations have suffered in the pandemic, but let me tell you, it's totally different when you go to a third world country and they've suffered from an earthquake, now a pandemic. So we would appreciate any donations.
It's rebuildnepaleducation.org if you'd like to learn more. Well, I wish you 3 the best for your trip. I hope it's fun and meaningful, and I know that you're going to do a lot of good work there. And how about we all meet back here in the fall or something, and you can give me a report on how things
Am
have
I able
gone.
to say a few words?
The floor is yours, Mason.
Like we were talking about earlier, the fact is that they don't even know when they're going to be able to eat again and how unfortunate they are. I think that compared to what we think is bad is a complete understatement, and I believe that people should get a better understanding of the world. Like, when people act as if the whole world is crumbling around them for small reasons, you gotta think about how other people are suffering, because, like, the fact is that over there in Nepal, even though after the earthquake and the whole thing collapsed, the government got money after from other countries for support, and yet they still didn't give any to the people. So to me, I feel like that is unfair, and I feel like they need a bit more help than what their country is letting on.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So I think people should really try to open up and think, instead of saying, oh, well, I'll do it later. Half the time, that's not the case. You're going to forget about it, or you're going to do something else. You just have to take a few seconds to think about am I doing the right thing? I'm just saying that instead of saying I'll wait till later or they're fine, it's just $1.
Well, these young people are doing the right thing. And if you'd like to know more, again, you can visit the website, make a donation, or find out more about the upcoming events at rebuildnepaleducation.org. Mason, Paisley, Sydney, and Ernie, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you
you.
very
Thank you.
much. Thanks.
You can hear the Culture Crawl live on the radio many weekdays at 10:20, or download the podcast, watch or listen on your own schedule at kcck.org/culture, or however you get your podcasts. I'm Dennis Green, and I'll talk to you later.